How long to build a prototype of the phone?
Pocket Link. Yeah, a year.
No. A prototype, Mike. A shell I can wave around at a meeting. It could be a complete piece of shit.
No, we're not doing that. No,
Mike's not doing that.
Listen to me. US Robotics is building their own phone. We are now in a race to get this thing to market, and we are a year behind. So I don't care what you need to do. Get these fucking nerds to drop everything and build this fucking phone! What?
Sorry, guys. My girlfriend tried to cash my check this morning, and it bounced. And she said I'm not supposed to come in here, I shouldn't come in here anymore. And she agreed I won't be coming in here any longer until I'm getting paid.
I can fix this.
In a world of bad movies, two follically challenged men will stop at nothing to share their opinions of them. Their wives are tired of listening, but are you? This isn't the podcast you deserve, but it's the one you need. Prepare yourself for bald guys and bad movies.
Welcome to Bald Guys and Bad Movies, episode 75. I am Troy. Here with my good buddy,
Mike.
Stella! Mike, you got into something fun this weekend you were just telling me about.
My wife and I made a puppet for her work, and it was fun. Wasn't too hard. Easy tutorial we watched on YouTube.
So primary ingredient you're saying is love and tender loving care?
Oh, yeah.
Marital bliss with a little dab of that?
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I will say
No,
that.
it sounds like fun. You found it on YouTube, the tutorial.
Yeah.
How to make it on YouTube. So YouTube, the greatest invention ever.
I know. You can figure out how to do anything.
Speaking of inventions, what are we reviewing today, Mike?
This week, we were reviewing the 2023 blockbuster film, BlackBerry.
Yeah, what can I do for you?
Okay, picture a cell phone and an email machine all in one thing. There is a free wireless internet signal all across North America, and nobody has figured out how to use it. It's like the Force. Sorry, have you seen Star Wars?
No.
That guy is sketchy. I don't think he's sketchy. The guy's a shark.
I know how to market it, and I know who we can sell it to. But I want 50% of the company, and I've got to be CEO.
I don't know who you think you are, but deal. Are you joking?
We are in a race to get this thing to market, and we are a year behind. I need a prototype.
I'll do it perfectly or I don't do it.
Mike, are you familiar with the saying, perfect is the enemy of good?
Well, good enough is the enemy of humanity.
What do you call it?
It's called a BlackBerry.
Huh. Try typing with your thumbs.
Get this baby in the hands of every Fortune 500 executive you can find.
We call them crackberries.
Should Doug come with us, sir?
No. You want to be great, you need to sacrifice. And the more painful the sacrifice, the greater you'll be.
If we put more phones on these networks, they're going to crash.
Is this legal?
You need to sell 1 million BlackBerries. We are calling it spy phone.
We're in the middle of a hostile takeover!
Do you know what the sentence is for multi-million-dollar stock fraud?
What are you doing?
I'm doing it all.
You guys have no idea how to run a company.
What's happening, man?
I created this entire market.
You said they were the best engineers in the world.
I said they're the best engineers in Canada.
Definitely wasn't a blockbuster.
Could have been. It was good, dude.
Budget $5 million, it made $2.9 million. BlackBerry is a 2023 Canadian biographical comedy drama directed by Matt Johnson from a script by Johnson and producer Matthew Miller. The character of Doug is actually played by Johnson, so kudos to him. It was loosely adapted from the book Losing the Signal the untold story behind the extraordinary rise and spectacular fall of BlackBerry. The film is a fictional account of the creation of the BlackBerry line of mobile phone by co-founders Douglas Frigine, Mike Lazaridis, and investor Jim Basile. Lazaridis is portrayed by Jay Baruchel. Basile is portrayed by my man and yours, Glenn Howerton. And Frigine is portrayed by Johnson. It also stars Rich Sommer and Michael Ironside. Those sides aren't that iron anymore. Oh, I love the guy, though.
He was good.
Forever, he'll be Sam Fisher. Martin Donovan, Michelle Giroux, Sung-Hoo Won Cho, Mark Creech, Saul Rubinek, and Carrie Elways in supporting roles. So, Mike, what did you think of BlackBerry?
It's a highly recommend for me. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good movie. Yeah, everyone was good in it. It was a compelling story. It was put together nicely. I really liked it. It's a highly recommend. And it's free on Hulu. So if you got Hulu, definitely check it out. No reason not to. It's definitely worth the time.
And one little fun fact before I get into my thoughts. They actually released this as a series.
What?
They added 16 minutes of footage, and I think it was like a 3-part miniseries.
Really?
I think it first aired in, because it's a Canadian production. An extended serialized version of the film began airing as a 3-part miniseries on CBC television, and it aired on AMC and AMC Plus.
Interesting.
Anyway, it's a highly recommend for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Loved it.
Yeah, you were the one who brought up us watching it, and I was like, yes, let's do that.
He fared much better than my man Charlie Day in his film. Did you ever watch that one?
I tried.
Oof. Whoa, boy.
Yeah.
That is a stinker. Yeah, Glenn was amazing.
Yeah, he was great.
The whole cast was amazing. And man, if you have any recollection of the 90s, I'm assuming most of our audience does.
Well, that intro, dude, the credits intro was so good. I was like, oh my God, this takes me back, man.
Oh yeah, dude.
It was right there.
You know, I didn't realize how nostalgia filled the 90s were for me. Typically it's 70s, which I barely remember, but 80s for sure, right?
Totally.
But 90s, I got a little warm tingle. Like, oh man, I remember that.
Dude, I loved the 90s. I mean, that's when I was in high school, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for you, even more, I'd say. Like,
high school in the 90s, middle school in the 90s. I mean, like the early 90s, which I sometimes, for a while, I always thought it was the 80s, but, you know. Well, it's always funny, right? Because, like, the first couple years of the next decade are always very similar to the last decade.
It's that transitional decade.
Like,
it's the Wednesday of the decade change.
Like the Ninja Turtle movies, like I always forget those were actually 90s movies and not 80s movies. And
yeah, I believe the first one was 1990.
Yeah.
Which is like grandfathered into the 80s. Let's just face it.
Ninja Rap, Vanilla Ice doing the Ninja Rap in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Like, oh, I loved that. That shit was my jam, dude.
Doug, that's portrayed in this film, you know what he reminded me of? And I didn't watch a lot of 30 Rock, but the guy
I never watched it
on 30 Rock who would always wear the hat with like a slogan on it. But yeah, he's that weird, fun, big-hearted guy. But every scene was like a different shirt, like Evil Dead and you know, maybe Ninja Turtles. Always wearing a headband.
Doug had a Ninja Turtle wallet when he pulls it out. With
yeah,
the first
it was Velcro. You ever have a Velcro wallet? Of course you did.
Fuck
right?
yeah. I might have had that exact Ninja Turtle wallet. Like, there is a very big possibility that I had that wallet, but I was in middle school, so it's okay. Yeah. My favorite wallet, though, when I was a kid was I had a TNC wallet, this blue denim TNC Surf Company wallet. That shit was dope, man.
Was that Velcro too?
Yeah, yep. And it got stolen out of my locker.
Did you have Velcro sneakers as well?
Yeah. I mean, I had a bunch of different stuff. Like, I remember the pumps. You remember the pumps? The Reebok pumps?
Yeah.
I fucking loved those things.
But yeah, okay. So BlackBerry is a high recommend for me.
Me too.
It's funny. And I had a thought, so don't bite my head off, but I felt like this is what I
Okay.
wanted from the Tetris film. No KGB bullshit. It was really just fully immersed in the actual product and the turbulent time we're trying to get that product actually made. And
But wasn't the KGB bullshit like? Didn't that actually happen? Wasn't that a?
it actually happened? But what I'm saying was what I said back then. I was least interested in that component and more interested in like the dealings with Nintendo and what
I mean, I would have liked more of that.
The actual business component of it. So
I would have liked more of that for Tetris, but
I mean, this is a different film and there's different circumstances, but the reasons I didn't like Tetris are some of the reasons I really, really love this. Underdog, going into business kind of story, like Ghostbusters. Do you have a favorite part, favorite performance?
One thing that made me go, fuck no, was when he left the fucking prototype in the door, in the cab. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I was like, oh my God. I was like, you fucking moron.
That moment truly felt like a Sunny moment.
Yeah, totally.
with his rage when he found out, like,
oh my God. Yeah, that dude was nuts. That dude was like Glenn. I don't know what he was like in real life, but Glenn did a great job of portraying him as.
According to him, nothing like that at all.
Oh, really?
See, okay, I'll just dump it all out there. I did a little bit of research to see what their actual people had to say.
Right.
The actual Doug was like, that wasn't me. Like, I don't know who that character is. I didn't wear fucking headbands, and I wasn't a dork. Thing is with dorks, you never know you're a dork.
Yeah, right.
Right? You think you're fucking cool. The guy who plays Jim, which is the Glenn character, he's like, I wasn't a prick or a dick. But again, if you're a prick or a dick,
yeah, you don't realize it.
But one thing that was true, that motherfucker really wanted a hockey team. Holy shit. Like, the movie only just scratched the surface. He never got it. But yeah, he was doing some wheeling and dealing.
What an idiot, like, calling that dude to, like, fucking brag, like, oh, I got tickets for you to the, to the Waterloo Penguins or whatever. And he's like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Why would you say that before you actually own the fucking team?
If that actually happened, but who gives a shit, in the context of the movie, is amazing.
Right. In the movie it happened. So, yeah, we're not reviewing real life. We're reviewing the film. I was like, you fucking moron.
When did the other owners even get... I'm sorry, what changed here, man?
The owners did not find you to be of good character and integrity.
I don't know what the hell that means. Gary, what the fuck is this?
It's funny. It's one thing to have a secret plan to fuck over the NHL and move a team to Canada. It's another thing to brag to your rich friends before you actually do it.
Oh, you guys are so fucking stupid. You know what? Maybe I'll buy this whole fucking league. Huh? How about that?
Don, can we see that Mr. Bald Silly gets safely back to Canada?
Oh, fuck all you people! Fuck you! Get ready for a hostile takeover of this entire fucking league, okay? You fuck! You think I won't fucking do it? I'm from Waterloo, where the vampires hang out!
And then Mike, I didn't hear much about Mike, so maybe he was okay with it. But even Jim was like, the movie's really good. It's just not me.
Yeah, I mean, and I think at the beginning it said this fictionalization, like it was very much based on true events, not really representative of true events. So
yeah, apparently the character of Doug, because the actual Doug wouldn't make himself available for the actor, so he tapped into another guy who was there and said, okay, I kind of based my character on him.
Got it.
Then that guy's like, that's not how I am. But the real Doug has a fucking engineering woodworking channel.
Oh,
on
really?
YouTube. Yeah. As it said in the end of the film, he sold his stock and
at the height.
And I think he's currently still a billionaire. Like, he's still like an entrepreneur. So he's just doing the YouTube channel for funsies. But yeah, that's the quick breakdown. Real characters versus real life. But in the context of the movie, it works great that Jim's a fucking asshole.
Dude, it was so good.
And I loved how the movie did an amazing job of just these little nuggets that paid off later.
Oh, right? Yeah, absolutely.
So the opening, the hiss.
Yeah.
With the thing made in China.
The very end.
And the very end. Spoiler.
He refuses to get anything made in China because it's all crap and no one gives a shit about it. And he fights it tooth and nail through the entire movie. They're not going to make anything in China. And then in order to make the deadline to actually make this final product that they talk about in the movie, they use China and this hiss that is just invaded everything that is made in China because it's made like shit and they don't screw down all the screws like all the way. So it like you get these little buzzing and hiss sounds in it. He knows how to fix it. All these hisses, right? But sure enough, they get their shipment from China for this BlackBerry. And what the fuck is happening? He turns it on and you hear that. And then like what the last shot of is like pulling out while he's standing there in a warehouse full of these BlackBerries, just pulling out a box and fixing that one little place where the hiss is coming from.
Yeah, one by one, he's opening the boxes.
And then what did it say? Every single BlackBerry Storm was returned due to it being defective or something. And what I noticed, before I even noticed the hiss, the keyboard was shit. Like, the keyboard was straight 2 letters. Like, it wasn't even like a direct typing thing.
That's fucking insane, dude.
And it was lagging. He'd hit a button, it'd wait a second, and then it would pop to the thing. I was like, this is some dog shit, bro.
Yeah.
Like, oh, man.
Yeah, talk about prehistoric, dude.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the actual BlackBerries were like that.
Yeah, no, I think the BlackBerry Storm was that. That was the actual BlackBerry Storm. Pretty sure.
I'd say his story is probably the saddest of them all because, you know, ultimately he was the brains behind the operation. He had integrity. He wanted to produce good product. And basically through Jim's influence, he became more shark-like, more cold. Because Doug left. They didn't say in the film whether he left or he got fired. But I know in real life, I think he just left of his own accord.
Mike tells him that he's useless and yells at him in front of the Michael Ironside character. And Doug just walks off.
Which I want to get your take on because Jim, I don't remember the exact line, but Jim says at Harvard, I think it was one of his professors told him,
if you want to be great, you have to sacrifice. And the harder the sacrifice, the greater you'll be.
Right.
Which is funny because he doesn't really sacrifice his friends, his integrity, anything until he's already past its BlackBerry's already past its prime. Mm-hmm. And so he made a completely useless sacrifice in the fact that he didn't need to do it, you know, in the context of the movie. And in the context of the movie, for Doug, it was a blessing. You know what I mean? Like him leaving at that moment and then selling all his stocks was the best thing that could have happened to him.
Well, I was going to ask you whether you thought it was Doug or Jim was a sacrifice. Because he gave Jim up to, was it the SEC? Which there was a great moment, the way Glenn played it, because it was less outrage. I felt like there was a little bit of a, you got me.
Yeah.
All right. No, well, okay. You know, you're a shark now, right?
Well, the guy
like,
did some shady shit. Like, I don't think he's too much of a shark. Like, he was protecting his own ass. You know what I mean? Like, you fucked him.
But the original one wouldn't have the wherewithal. Like how he started in the story. Where he wound up, he was way more proactive, way more like cold.
I mean, he'd been in business. He'd been working in business. Like he wasn't just a, snot-nosed engineer. He was in business for years by that point. So he understood how to conduct it. And so it makes sense that at that point he was just like, I'm covering my fucking ass. You know what I mean? This is bullshit.
Now, my only gripe, and this is a minor gripe, and I don't know how you felt about it, was the fucking hair, dude.
His hair looked bad.
And it was a facsimile. The real life guys actually had hair like that. So
I didn't mind Glenn's bald spot. Like it was a little annoying because like you could kind of see the blue. You know what I mean? Like that, you could tell that it was just a shaved head.
Oh, was that his actual hair and he shaved it?
Yeah, because I remember I was watching the Sunny podcast.
Because he did have that weird hair during one of the podcasts.
Exactly,
right?
because like he took his hat off and he showed that he had shaved his head.
So maybe it's the way it was cut and shaved. Like maybe the bald spot was too sharp. You know what I mean? Too like lined.
Yeah, it was that, but it was also the fact that your hair, generally speaking, if you're bald, you're not completely bald on the top. You know what I mean? It's not like a shaved head. There's like wispy hair up there. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of hair up there. Like very seldomly is it completely bald. I think that's what was the weirdest part about that. His hair didn't bother me as much as Mike's. Mike's hair bothered the shit out of me. It just looked bad.
It looked bad. He has a young face still.
Exactly.
And it didn't match with the hair. It looked like a wig, like a bad fucking wig.
Yeah, because it was.
Yeah. Like he's got the white wig, the kind of floppy 90s no style hair. And then when they cut to him later, and when he's like more confident and more like an astute businessman, it was like fucking Papa from Stranger Things. Really took me out of it. And I get that they want to match the actual people, but if you got a young actor playing someone who's probably much older, then just fucking have a little salt and pepper. You know what I mean? His real hair.
Why don't you dye it? Yeah, like dye his real hair so it actually looks like real fucking hair. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I would have done the same thing that you're saying.
And Glenn's character, just let him have hair.
Yeah.
Like it fits his character as a slick, shit talking, fucking exec. Like have him just have that hair. I don't know. Anyway.
I kind of like the fact that he was bald though. It made me kind of think like, oh, this is a negative trait that he doesn't, that he absolutely cannot like. You know what I mean? Like,
but if that's the case, then you would think he would wear like a hairpiece or something though.
Sure.
Look, I don't mind that he was bald. It just looked weird.
It would have looked, I just wish they'd have done it better.
It took me a little bit just to like look past the hair and get into the the performance. And by a little bit, maybe 5 minutes, right?
I mean, this is an essential conversation for us to be having on this show. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, this is the one conversation, one thing about this movie that we had to discuss was his bald head.
Yeah, we're experts.
Yeah, exactly. We are the experts on bald heads. So I mean,
shave my shit right now.
Me too.
A little dicey. A little Sherman Hemsley coming. That's George Jefferson for people not to know.
Thank you, because I didn't.
But that's where my grapes end.
Yeah,
like it really, that was it. Like what do you think about the camera work? It was very.
I was fine with
shield.
And it was very. You know what? It wasn't so handheld, so shaky to where it really bothered me. Because sometimes if they just go too shaky, it's just like, get the fuck out of here. I don't even want to watch this because it's annoying. I thought they did a good job of balancing it. They did a good job of balancing that sort of handheld.
Except for me, for the beginning. The beginning office scene when they first come there to see Jim.
Oh.
I felt it was a little, I get it was chaotic, but I felt
like there were too many close-ups in that scene. Like we were just way close up on everything in that scene. I'm like, give me a little bit of... And I think they did it to kind of to ramp up the tension real quick. They felt like...
Well, and there was a lot of like zooms and stuff. There was too much going on. And I was like, oof, okay. But the rest of the film kind of evened out.
Yeah, it definitely calmed down.
The way to do that, you have nice static shots, even though they're still handheld, but they're not like all over the place.
Right.
And for intense moments, you ramp it up, right?
Yep.
So it didn't continue that way for the whole film, but I could see some people being, whoa, holy shit. But as a fan of The Shield, and it also works for comedy, as The Office has proven. Like, and they use it very well for comedy. I love that funny. What you may have a better recall than me. Was it Michael Ironside who said something about?
Oh right, yes, I wrote it down. He's like, I will fire every single person in this room until it's full of men instead of little boys playing with their little penises, and then it zooms in on the one woman in the room, and she's just kind of looking around, all
and it lingers just long enough
long enough.
For it to be like, just to register her being
It was
uncomfortable.
so funny, dude. I cracked up. Like, yeah, that was literally one of the things that I wrote down.
I also love that scene where Jim was poaching the guy. I think he was poaching him from Nintendo, and Michael Ironside's character walks in and like berates the guy. And Jim like turns to the guy he's trying to poach and is like, who is that guy? Like you could literally see him, getting an erection in his chair.
Yeah, it was so funny. Yeah.
This guy's a hard ass, just kind of reamed this lowly employee, this tech geek. And he's probably thinking, that's exactly what we need. We need a clone of me.
Yeah, exactly.
Except, 3 times bigger. Because, love Michael Ironside. But yeah, he's put on some pounds, but not fat shaming. Just saying. Oh, and I loved. This is early on in the movie when Jim first showed up. Were they playing Doom or were they? Well,
no, I think they played multiple games. At one point, someone is playing Doom, but when they were playing each other, I think they were playing Command and Conquer.
Okay.
Or Red Alert, one
because
of
they had
the Command and Conquer games.
Fucking giant
plunger.
No, not the plunger. Well, plunger, yes, but they had the cordless phone. And was it a tighty whitey underwear band?
It looked like it could have been underwear. Yeah, something like tied around so it was like hanging.
Because they didn't have headsets to talk to one another. That's what I assume it was. So, you know, two of the guys call one another so they could talk to each other across the room.
You know what was funny, though? I like the plunger thing, how the plunger, like whoever wins the battle, like gets the plunger like attached to their computer for until like they lose and then the next person takes the plunger. I thought that was pretty funny. Dude, and you know what I thought to myself? I thought to myself, this guy's a total shark, but he was absolutely essential.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, you guys needed him, because one thing that I noticed was these guys were never going to get a fucking prototype built unless they had a deadline. And when he gave them a deadline, they had a fucking prototype built in a day.
They needed a daddy. They needed a dad.
Yeah, totally.
An adult in the room, basically.
Yeah, because they were a bunch of fucking kids. You know what I mean? Like, and I get it. There's brilliance to be had there, but you need someone to focus that brilliance. You know what I mean?
Wait, another thing. Speaking of, it ties into that. Jim is talking to Mike. And Mike's like, I'd never told you I had the best engineers in the world. I had the best engineers in Canada. He's like, well, we need...
Yeah.
We need better people. And Doug is like, he recommends the guy who created Doom.
Yeah, exactly.
That's his fix.
It was so funny.
And that leads into how they got into deep shit.
Yeah.
Because how he lured these people, like a guy from Google and one other guy was Nintendo, I think, was promising them stock.
How much money do you want to break your contract with Google? I'll give you $1 million if you sign right now.
I am not moving to Canada. We are not having this conversation.
$2 million.
Stop.
$3 million.
I need you to leave.
$10 million.
He had a $1 million stock profile, right? Like it was like a stock option, right? That he was going to give him, but he was going to backdate it to when the stock was less, wasn't worth as much. So now, if they give you $1 million stock option that is at $4 a share, but they price it at 40 cents a share, then that stock option is actually 10 times that, it becomes $10 million as opposed to $1 million, which it initially was. So, and that's completely illegal, which is why, which is why he was like, is this even legal? And he just sits there and stares at him.
Which is a bad sign.
I think Glenn Howerton was the absolute perfect choice for Jim. Like, he was so good. Like, I really, really enjoyed him in this.
Yeah, and I did too. But I was going to ask you, did you see the Dennis Reynolds character?
Not too much. Like, I didn't really see, like, he felt crazy in like a different way, because Dennis always seems like he's on the verge of becoming a maniac. Jim didn't feel that way to me. He felt cold and calm and collected and always thinking about how he's going to get over on whatever situation that he's in. I don't know. He did not feel like the same character to me at all.
I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds!
I'm from Waterloo, where the vampires hang out!
What would you say, and this ties into what I said earlier, how they set up brilliantly little details, not just plot details, but character details. What do you think Jim's flaw was ultimately? Because he got fired because he couldn't fucking listen to, like, he asked for a promotion and the guy's like, I'll give you the promotion, but I'm gonna have this guy come in and talk about the taxes. He's like, that guy's a fucking moron. You're not gonna have him, talking from investors, and he couldn't fucking resist himself.
I mean, it's arrogancy. I mean, he was very arrogant to his downfall, like thinking he could get away with $20 million stock fraud. I don't even know how much how many people he did that with. Like, he could have done that with multiple people. You know what I mean?
Yes, definitely arrogance. But do you feel like he wanted the glory to himself? Because that didn't really pop up later in the film. Because
no, he wanted the deal to go through. He wasn't confident.
He wasn't confident in that guy to do it.
If he thought that guy could get it done, he would have let him do it. They literally pan to that guy, and he's like, he's a fucking goof. And you're like, yeah, he is a fucking goof. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you don't look at him and be like, oh no, he could get it done. Like,
foreshadowing his next step into a company full of goofs.
Exactly. Like, he does look like a goof. And Jim has a lot riding on getting that contract at the very beginning of the film, right? He's going to take over that division. Mm-hmm. And that's ultimately what he wants. If he can't get that with this guy doing the presentation, he doesn't give a shit. He's going to take over the presentation because he would rather beg forgiveness than ask permission, even though he did ask for permission. And what he should have done was he shouldn't have said a thing to his boss. He should have just done it. And if he had done it and not asked permission,
then he could rely on I didn't know.
You never ask permission in that situation. That was a flaw too. He shouldn't have asked permission.
He is the exact type of guy that would have a bunch of fucking tribal masks on his fucking wall. I love that little detail, Jim. Because he gets fired, he's packing up the mask. I think maybe I don't know if they showed, I think there was a few on the wall.
Why? Why do you think he's a guy who would have tribal masks on his wall?
Because it's that art of war, that business type who's fucking, business is war and, eat the weak and all of this aggressiveness they apply to their business tact.
Yep.
Which is why they have $1 billion and I have, $400 in my bank account. So there you go.
You got $400? That's great.
Yeah, I know. What about what other parts did you? Oh, I love movie night. Movie night was so good.
Oh my god, dude!
The movie completely won me over, of course, because they're watching Raiders.
Oh, Raiders of the Lost Ark,
and the bad dates scene.
Yeah,
the fist comes into frame, and the guy's fist comes into frame. But also that they live with Rowdy Roddy Piper. He's like, dude,
this is who they based Duke Nukem on. Did you know that? That is Duke Nukem.
That is fucking Duke Nukem, dude. I was like, this is what I would do if I were to write this film. I would pack it full of, but it wasn't like, distracting nostalgia. It felt very genuine. You know what I mean?
Well, it was also, it took place in that, years and years ago. It took, know what I mean? And that was just the culture. That was their culture. That you know what I mean? Except for Jim, they were all a bunch of goofs. So they're going to do goofy ass shit.
Because sometimes nostalgic films, it works with this film because they are nerds.
Right.
And nerds latch onto something and relive it over and over again. And it becomes their wardrobe. Said the guy in the Tron dude shirt. That is me. But it doesn't feel as natural in some films where it's just like general slice of life.
Right.
And everything's like a fucking, hey, you going to go to the New Kids on the Block concert? And
right.
Like it feels wedged in. Whereas this, it just felt
natural.
Okay, these guys would do this.
Yeah.
They would be this way because I recognize my kinfolk when I see them.
I don't know, man. It was just... I liked this. I liked the music. I thought the music was really good. Even when they used music that I didn't know, I was like, oh, this is a cool song. Like, this is and fitting to the situation.
Oh, I do love, and you mentioned it briefly, when he left the prototype, that they spent the previous day.
The entire fucking night.
Yeah, working, slaving away, and Mike leaves it in the fucking taxi.
Mm-hmm.
So Jim goes in. He's like, okay, just draw something. He turns around and Mike is getting in the elevator. And I assume that's what he was doing.
Yeah, totally.
I didn't think he was just fucking wimping out. But Jim goes into the meeting and Saul Rubinek's character. It's like,
you are not a tech guy, are you? The whole world. Whole fucking world is trying to do emails on a cell phone. We had an entire division working on it for, I don't know, 8 months or so. You know how many phones they got to work at the same time? 11. It's a network that's built for pagers. That's all it can do. You're in la la land on this one. You got, I think, some nerds took you for a ride.
Right as he says that, that's when Mike shows up. And he comes to the door and he's like, I'm sorry, I think this meeting's over. And Mike's like, no. Like, whoa. It was like,
how did you try this already?
Hey guys, I think the meeting's over.
Did you just put your devices directly on the network as though they were clients?
That's right.
Yeah, right. So what did that get you, like 10 phones working at the same time?
Yeah.
When you use a phone as a client, what's it doing? It's just sitting on your network, constantly asking the same question. Did I get an email? Did I get an email? Did I get an email? So it is forever pulling on your servers whether you got an email or not. We have a fix, okay? So we are going to build a giant computer that will act as a sort of massive client that is hardwired directly to the internet with our phone as server. Okay? So when a user gets an email, Waterloo pulls it in, packages it, and then sends it. We engage with your network maybe a split second, like less time than that.
And throughout the movie, they're saying we're selling minutes.
Right.
Then when Apple, the monolith from 2001, like drops down and eclipses everything, they're selling data.
Yeah, exactly. The problem with selling minutes is there's only 1 minute in a minute.
I feel like Mike was, in the context of the movie, he was the only one that really I felt the saddest for. Even Jim. He never went to jail for it.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Like, that's...
What's with that scene, though? He's duck hunting with his former boss. Is that...
I don't know, man. Was that it? That wasn't his former boss. That was the... No, it wasn't. That was the head of AT&T, dude.
Was that a head of AT&T?
That was the head of AT&T.
Oh.
Yeah, that definitely was not his former boss.
Well, that was the guy he was trying to race to the airport to talk to.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe that implies that he's gone on.
I'm like 99% sure because I literally just finished this movie an hour ago. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll trust your memory. I finished it yesterday afternoon. So. It's a fairly simple story.
It is.
It's going into business. Not a lot of complexity to it, but it was so well done, so well shot, and so funny that it felt fresh.
I loved when Jim went into the office. Like when they first got hired Jim. And they make the deal, and he comes into the office. He's like,
"What the fuck is this?"
Everyone builds their own desk. That's a tradition.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
And then, like at one point, he's like, I can't remember the name of the U.S. robotics guy, but he was like, he's talking to them. He's like, "Oh well, who do you talk to over at U.S. robotics?" He's like, "So and so." He's like, "Get me so and so on the phone." And they're like,
"Sorry, who are you talking to?"
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Oh, it's called a carrier wave. The calling modem is leaving.
Hey! Get off the fucking internet!
Say you will about Jim and his illegal activity. That aside, would love to have a Jim on my side.
Oh yeah.
Like if Jim was my fucking lawyer, yeah, that's a Jim I want.
One thing I will say is I felt like they set it up like Jim was gonna fucking screw them over. Mm-hmm. I was thinking it was going to be like a Social Network situation. Like you remember at the end of Social Network, he screws over, Andrew Garfield's character.
I thought the same thing when they couldn't reach him, that they couldn't contact him.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought he was he saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
And was trying to get in the hockey game.
Exactly.
The hockey business, because he knew this was coming. He had some inside baseball, but it wasn't that at all.
And so I figured, that was going to happen, but it didn't happen at all. Like the guy was a pretty stand-up dude. Like, and that was one thing I thought was odd, that they went really out of their way to show this guy as like a shark. Like he's a shark. But he never really did anything. He was as a great businessman, and he did a lot of great stuff for you guys. Like, he even went out on a limb and fucking broke the law in order to make your stock prices go up because you needed to fucking...
Well, he also had mortgaged his house. And
exactly.
He
invested so much. Like, he wasn't just some shady dude. He was an absolute shark, but he was a great businessman, and he believed in what they did and fucking mortgaged his house to do it. So... I'm disappointed that he didn't go to jail because, like, you know, rich people never fucking go to jail. And that's one thing that really annoys me. Like, you know, you're going to get more jail time for stealing $1,000 worth of merchandise from a Macy's than you, if they catch you, than you will stealing millions of dollars from all the Joe Schmo shareholders. And that shit pisses me the fuck off.
I hear you, but it makes Mike's downfall more. That's what I'm saying. Like, he was actually the one that had the sad ending. At least in the context of the movie. Because Jim, shark's going to swim on and find more blood in the water. Doug, sweet guy, never compromised, got out while the getting was good.
Like, and that's the whole thing. Like, after all that, like, you look back and you're like, well, I guess they should have sold the fucking Palm. Like, they should have sold the fucking business. Like,
yeah, exactly. Carrie Elwes' character, right? Like,
yeah, like, who gives a fuck? Here, take it. Give me my $1 billion. I'm happy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine that? Could you imagine building a company and then, you know, running it for a few years and then just selling it? I mean, some people, that's all they do. They build a company and then they just sell it to someone for fuck tons of money. And then they're like, okay, I'll hang out for a while, figure out what the next thing I'm going to do. And then they build another company and then just fucking sell it. One thing I thought that was also pretty cool was when they hack the towers in order to make the towers work differently to quadruple the amount of bandwidth they can do.
Without their permission, by the way. Verizon,
exactly.
I think. Yeah.
And then he's selling the BlackBerries and they haven't even figured out the problem. And then he yells at them about it.
Mike?
Hi.
There are 3 reasons why people buy our phones. Do you know what they are?
Email.
They fucking work!
Yeah, okay, it's not us, Jim, it's the carrier. Verizon is doing something weird.
Okay, well, I'm about to do something weird if you don't fix this. Now! The deal was, I get the engineers, you shrink the data!
Are you selling more phones?
What the hell do you think I've been doing over here, Mike? We're in the middle of a hostile fucking takeover! Do I need to have somebody babysit you, dork?
Okay, so that's... Okay, yeah, the entire system is crashing. He's selling more phones.
God damn it!
Yeah, so... Okay,
you know, maybe just hold off selling more phones.
I'm not
I can't believe he didn't yell at him. Like, why are you yelling at me? We told you it wasn't going to work if you sold more fucking phones. So why did you sell more phones until we figured out this problem? You know what I mean? Like, it's not my fault that you did this when we told you it couldn't handle it. It made no fucking sense.
Was it Mike saying that at that point?
Well, he didn't say that. He didn't say anything to Jim, which is what kind of annoyed me. I'm like, why aren't you...
That would have been a good moment. A good bridge moment to who Mike becomes later when he becomes more like assertive.
Exactly. Like, he needs, like, it's not my fault this shit happened. This is unequivocally your fucking fault, Jim. You know what I mean? Like, you knew this was going to happen. We all knew this was going to happen. Doug was kind of annoying to me. Like, there were times where I just wanted Doug to shut the fuck up. I'm just like, shut up, dude. Like, let the fucking adults speak. You know what I mean? Like,
did it cross the threshold into unrealistic or
no? I don't
trying
think so.
Too hard to be quirky.
No,
never crossed that for you. Okay,
I don't think so. I thought it was a good portrayal of someone who has good intentions, but is just annoying as fuck, and you just want them to shut the fuck up. Like, shut up, dude. Shut up. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, I love the Jim moment in the very beginning when he first arrives, and he finds out the modems?
Oh, yeah.
They built? And they took a bath. They've already paid like $1.2 million.
$1.6 million.
$1.6 million. Oh, and it was painful to watch Mike because Jim basically stood him up for the board or the meeting. Was it Verizon? I can't remember.
Oh, God, it was rough.
He's floundering and like, it's the click.
Yeah.
You know, that's why the iPhone is not going to be a thing because it's garbage.
Right.
Like there's, you know, people want to hear that. They want that click, that satisfying click.
And the iPhone gave you that click actually because it figured out how to use its vibrate function to just do, like, every time you do it, it would just vibrate just a little bit so you could like feel like you were actually touching the...
That's the thing. I don't remember. Did the early iPhones have that like right away?
Oh, maybe it didn't, to tell you the truth. I don't know if it did because I didn't have the original iPhone.
Then at the end of that meeting, he was like, yeah, well, we got a screen prototype.
Yeah. And Doug's sitting there.
I'll fucking build it myself. I'll build it myself.
And Doug's sitting there like, what the fuck are you saying? Like, what the fuck? Oh man.
I will say that may be the only little minor unbelievable thing, that he wouldn't make him take that stupid fucking headband off, even at that point.
Oh my God. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, that shit was dumb. I was like, are you seriously in a suit with that fucking headband on? Get the fuck out of here.
That kind of, even though it's a dramedy, that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, he's not that much of a fucking moron.
Yeah.
That he wouldn't at least take the fucking headband and make a joke about it.
Yeah.
Like, God, so I'm glad to be out of there. Whew. Dude, I was about to sweat bullets. See, this is why I keep it on.
Yeah, right.
Just have it be a moment. Anyway, you want to rate it, man?
Yeah.
You want to rate this thing? So what would you rate BlackBerry?
I will rate it 4 out of 5 horrible shaved heads out of 4 out of 5 horrible shaved heads. That's what I'm going to give it.
I will give it 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 tidy whitey headbands. I toyed with 4.5, but then I'm like, I mean, in terms of the story, it's a story you've kind of seen before. Like, it didn't like reinvent the wheel, but it was solid. It was really good, and entertaining.
It was very entertaining, and it was tight. It was really tight,
tight, well done, confident in what it wanted to do.
Good film.
And you don't have to give a shit about BlackBerry or the technology to enjoy it.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
So if you would like to support this show, keep us going, keep us rolling along, uploading content, you can support us by going to patreon.com/baldguysbadmovies and donate to the show. We're going to use those funds to make sure we can see any movies that you guys want to see and getting our studio set up so we can start recording video and doing these not just audio but also video on YouTube. And once a month, we will pick a patron to choose a movie for us to review. And we'll review it. We'll dedicate it to you. But either way, we just hope you enjoy the show and keep on coming back.
I'm from Waterloo!